house.
スイート、私あなたを救えなかった。
I see in your eyes where tomorrow is hiding in my heart. There's a bell ringing loud at the touch of your lips. Down the rainbow, I'm sliding. Little arrows keep falling as they go.
Welcome everyone, I'm Heath,
Yvonne J.
and you're listening to Host of Horrors, show where we discuss and review horror films based on predetermined themes of the month. Jay!
Whoa, so this film was the last film of Haunted House Month.
Yeah, it was.
And my God, there are no words at all that I can describe this movie with.
No, I can describe it
all.
perfectly. This is what happens when experimental filmmaking meets no restrictions.
You're right. So the film student in me is screaming internally and externally about everything that's going on with this, and I think I'm happy because of that.
I love this movie so much. Oh, I love this movie. I'm so glad I've met one other person that has seen this movie other than me, and we're not in good speaking terms right now. So I am so happy someone else knows about this film now.
Oh my goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. It's definitely something, and that's all I can really say at the moment.
So, what did we watch?
1977's Hausu, or House, for the English-speaking audience.
Hausu!
So, this film is directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi, also produced by Nobuhiko Obayashi, and written by Chigumi Obayashi and Chiho Katsura.
Yeah.
So, I knew literally nothing going into this film.
I allowed him to know nothing. I said specifically, we're going into this film, you will know nothing, and that's how it should be.
Literally, the tagline was the synopsis on HBO Max was the only thing I really read going into it. And it was a schoolgirl visits a haunted house. Basically, I was like, a schoolgirl spends her summer vacation in a haunted house. That was literally all I got. And that's kind of what all I had going into watching this film. This very, very acid trip-y feeling of a film. So I basically it's giving me Yellow Submarine meets
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead meets Jean-Luc Godard. It had more color in his films and wasn't so serious all the time.
Yeah, no, this film
is so. This is what I get.
This film is very much Yellow Submarine meets Tommy meets Evil Dead meets a 1990s Nickelodeon Goosebumps show. Either Goosebumps
God.
or no. When I first saw this, it reminded me of what was that? Are you afraid of the dark from Nickelodeon? Tell me that's not true.
No, that's what it was giving me. That Goosebumps, just a very bombastic horror. It's very bombastic in its delivery, very just out there, just all over the place, and chaotic AF. And I think I love it because of that. And it's right up my alley when it comes to what I like in horror, almost in every single way, shape, and form. And that's wild because if I feel if I'm unable to take it seriously, I don't get, so I guess scared, for lack of better terms. It's not so real.
Yeah, well, I think this movie was supposed to trip you out more than scare you. This movie, the whole thing is just bombastic set piece after set piece after set piece. What's the next thing we can do? Oh, let's have a giant head enter the room. What else? Oh, let's have a freaking piano eat some chick.
Or yeah, and Honestly, this is something that I could see coming out of the page of Adult Swim.
Yeah.
This feels
yeah.
very much like something that Adult Swim would actively play
Yeah.
if they got the rights to it.
When I first watched this, it very much reminded me of it reminded me of like the 90s for some reason. Even though you could tell that it was filmed in the 70s, the whole premise and setup just feels like something that you would show like on a children's TV show, late night children's TV show in the 90s, just with more titties. Which that part trips me out, like, honestly, because I know they're of age and they're very, very gorgeous women, but there's something about Japanese women, when they play schoolgirls, they're very fucking convincing as schoolgirls, and the first time I saw titties from what I assumed was a schoolgirl, I was like, uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. No, I really did. Like, in the bathhouse, I was like, okay, she's naked, but they're not gonna show. They showed titties. They showed titties.
And yeah, this is where we get into spoiler territory, of course. So this was giving me very much so like almost like a very gruesome like makeup or school drama, and it was like drama as in like, you know, a live action show. Where it's like, you know, you get the schoolgirls talking about this and that. You get like the tropes. You have down to all of the nicknames like gorgeous, fantasy.
You had Gorgeous, who was the pretty one. You had
Mhm.
Fantasy, who was always stuck in her head making up shit. Then you had Kung Fu, who obviously was the fighter.
Got Maka.
Mac, who was the quote-unquote fat chick.
Sweeter.
Sweet, who is, of course, very nice, very sweet. You had, who else?
It was Gorgeous.
There were 7. I already said Gorgeous.
He's like, yeah, had Gorgeous, you had Fantasy, Mac, you had
Sweet.
You
got Proof.
Professor, she's a smart one.
Mm-hmm.
Mac. Oh, that's 7.
And Melody.
And
Melody, the one that does the music. So all the names are their personalities. It's just very Japan. Very, very Japan. And the start of the film starts off with the Gorgeous looking just like how she's going to look at the end, like a witch, with the whole setup and everything. She looks exactly the way she looks.
Wait a minute. So, okay, before we get into this, let's talk about this like very like wild intro sequence where it's just like house and like the most like very hand drawn. You know where it kind of reminds me? The Saul Bass covers, the posters of like the 60s and all that with like all of the Hitchcock films like that. It reminds me of that, like that whole design, and it was just very just like wild.
Oh, it's very gorgeous. The matting in this film is amazing because they take, not only do they take like real on-set designs, but they have matting behind that, and then they have portraits, like hand-painted portraits. Like you'll see in the background, the clouds in the house is hand-drawn, but then the sunset and everything, or like the trees that are up close to the girls, that would be matted, and then you would have the set design that they're actually on.
It
fucking gorgeous.
It reminds me of, you know, Snow White. Like, it's like how they animated Snow White to almost have a parallax feel. That's what it kind of gave me. And it's like, you know, it's the 70s because you know that the shot half of the shit on a blue screen, but like a lot of other times they meshed it so well that it was very nice. Like there were certain scenes that had Gorgeous in them that were I knew, me coming from a VFX background, knowing that it was like, you know, composited, but it was still hard to tell, like, because they made it look so pretty. Plus, like, they chose very pretty girls for the casting.
Oh yeah,
like I just wonder how they casted these girls. Like, were they like already like famous, or were they like kind of plucked as in like an idol? I just kind of wonder how they got these girls casted.
Out of the 7, who is your favorite?
Ooh, I realized that I like them all in different ways. I think the ones who stuck out to me the easiest, I really like I really like Melody. Like, she was hilarious. I like the Kung Fu, and I I was really I feel attached to the girls in any way, shape, or like in almost any given point. Like these girls, while literally just their their personalities, they do feel human as well. And you feel like these nicknames are more than just like, oh, this is what she's like, this is what they're like. It's like they feel actually kind of fleshed out in a way that if you had something to tell, like something to like about the girls, you can be like, okay, it's not because you're just pretty, but I can understand her point of view. And obviously they were trying to make Gorgeous out to be the main character, which it gets kind of lost in translation, but it reels you back in that, oh, we're like, this is Gorgeous' story on top of everything else, because the way that the camera even like focuses on her as compared to the other girls
in the beginning,
it's very obvious that like, oh, she's the main character
in the beginning, but once they get to the house, it's very much an ensemble piece. Like, you focus on Gorgeous in the beginning, but once they enter the house, it's everyone gets time to shine. Favorite hands down is Kung Fu. I'm sorry. When you have a fight against firewood and you just brush it off like it was nothing,
like an illusion.
Yeah,
like
it was like, guess it's an illusion that ripped my pants off, and now I'm gonna go pantsless the rest of the movie. Who does that? She even caught her pants. Like, she fought the firewood, they ripped her pants off, she beats the firewood, and then the pants fall down, she grabs it, and she's just like,
and
this feels good, no pants.
I really do like the fact that she just basically almost like a de facto leader when it was like time to get for things to get real. Like, so many people relied on her and Professor for like questions to get asked, and I thought that was really cool.
So
yeah,
back to the plot. Let's kick off the plot. So
I really like that camera work in the beginning. Like,
because
like that whole
the
whole first half was just so wild. I'm sorry, I really like the first half a lot when it comes to how
the experimental editing too. It was so just what. This is so good.
It's very, like, it's basically like French New Wave times two, because it was released around the similar time as a lot of really good, French New Wave experimental films that was not only in Japan, but, in Europe and a lot of them in America. It just coincides a lot with the new Hollywood Renaissance, or New Hollywood. So you can tell, like, maybe there was a little bit of influence with that, but man, Mr. Obayashi.
Oh, he killed it. He fucking killed it. No, it's funny. Okay, so, you said her name.
Which one?
Shishumi, his daughter.
Oh, Shigumi.
His daughter, actually came up with the basic plot of the film. Like, she's the one that was like, hey, girls go to an aunt's house and the aunt ends up being a witch in this haunted house. Here's their names, here's their personalities, yada, yada, yada. And it was him and Katsura that actually took that idea and made this movie. And the reason he made this movie the way it is because he saw Jaws and wanted to make a movie like that.
I thought he was approached to make a movie like Jaws.
I guess he saw Jaws. And he got inspired by Jaws and wanted to make a movie like that.
So literally my point was proven right about the influences of the new Hollywood Renaissance on,
But how do you do that? How do you watch Jaws and go, yeah, you know what's similar to Jaws? House.
Well,
Hausu.
if you look at some of the things that, like, some of the promotional material, like,
but no, I'm talking about the movie. I'm not talking.
I meant like promotional material as in like the beginning. The very beginning, like very mouth-like. Jaws had like focus on the mouth a lot.
That's promotional. I'm talking about the film.
I know that's what I'm. But in the movie, like, Jaws killed people with his mouth. The house kills people with the mouth. That I don't know. I think I'm seeing it.
I'm not seeing it.
I'm seeing
that's
it
a stretch.
It could be, but I'm taking the stretch. I'm reaching, but I'm a grasp for that straw. Okay?
Oh god!
But
so,
okay, yeah.
The opening of the film starts with your logo, your Hausu logo, which turns into what looks like an old picture of a woman in a white dress, which turns into the school background being in the background, which turns into Gorgeous taking the robe off and walking away, but you still are stuck with that frame.
And then it opens up, like, it starts out but very one by one, like,
Very squared off.
Like, it goes from, like, basically Instagram to, like, I'm not gonna say academy aspect, but it goes slowly into that, as in, like, the set pieces go from that to that, and I think that's really cool. And you can tell that there was a lot of experiments when it comes to aspect ratios as a form of storytelling too. That's really cool.
Yeah, and so we're introduced with our first two main characters, which is Gorgeous and Fantasy.
And you can tell that they're really close. Like,
yeah, they're basically like best friends. They're the two closest out of the group.
They're gals being pals.
And they're basically talking about their summer vacation, which she and the other 6 and their other 5 in their group are planning on going on a vacation, which is really weird, but it's also Japanese culture, so can't really judge it that much. But they're planning on going on a summer vacation with their male teacher, Toga.
Oh, Togo Sensei.
And Fantasy has this huge crush on him, but Gorgeous isn't going with them. Instead, Gorgeous is going where she always goes, with her father, who is a music composer for films.
Who is coming back from Italy.
Yeah. And so she goes home, meets her father, sees her father has arrived early, super happy, until father reveals, "You're getting a new mommy."
Okay, let me talk about this for a second, because that's the moment where I was like, okay, Gorgeous is gonna be one of my favorite characters. More for the sole fact that, like, even though she kind of handled it poorly, she's also a kid, so I'm also like, I get it. I would have done the same thing if my mom was all like, oh yeah, by the way, you getting a new daddy. I'm like, alright.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, content of the film, that she is probably 16, 17, maybe.
Like, are they close to being a third year? I think they're all either, if not third years, getting close to being third year. Because but yeah, no, I understand. Gorgeous is like, her way of thinking is like, yo, you're trying to replace my mom, and this ain't right. Well, and I'm kind of like, you don't even give. I hate it when parents just kind of spring that on them. And she was like, oh, I wanted to tell you earlier. But I'm like, if you wanted to, to start dating, I'm like, I get it. It's your love life. But it's like, if you have a child, you should at least try to get them to be like, hey, this is so-and-so first before, start to spring, oh, she's going to be your new mommy.
Yeah,
and kind of stuff like that. That went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, this dad didn't do anything. He was just like, hey, yeah, this is your new mom. Accept it. That's it. That's all you get. You don't get any kind of warning, nothing, not, hey, I'm thinking about dating again. No, this is your new mom.
And the lady is so beautiful. And
very sweet, too. Like, she's actually, it's a weird situation, and she is kind of, like, thrusting herself upon Gorgeous, but at the same time, she's trying to be as nice as possible about it.
And, like, she's trying. It's not like she just, like, is like, okay, whatever. She's trying to she wants to try to be as part of her life.
Yeah, and she's not being like the dad where it's just like, hey, I'm your new mom, accept it.
And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of The Lodge.
The Lodge, yeah.
It reminds me, that part kind of reminds me of the beginning plot of The Lodge. It's like, oh,
it's a little different only because in The Lodge, the dad and the new stepmom, or the soon-to-be new stepmom, were already dating during the divorce process with the other mom. And then after the whole situation with the mom dying, well, that was like a year. So you have on top, so it's like, it's better, but not better. Yeah. Because in The Lodge, it's better because she's already been established. Like, the dad and her have already been established as a couple, and they've been dating for a while before the dad's like, hey, I really need you kids to start, trying to get to know her. Where in this one, it's like, hey, you've never met her, but this is going to be your new mom. But at the same time, The Lodge was like, hey, spoiler alert, Your mom literally committed suicide like a year ago, and now I'm forcing you to be alone with this woman in a house. Where this has been like, hey, your mom has been dead for 8 years. I am a man, you know, I kind of...
And, you know, I want to have want to start a new family, and I get that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I guess I see both.
Yeah.
Both aspects of it. So I get it.
But Gorgeous doesn't see it. She ain't having none of it.
Baby, she was all like, you know what? I am not having this. I hate my father. I hate all of this. I miss my mom. I want to see my mom again. All of that kind of stuff.
And she brings this up to her friends right about the time that Toga Sensei basically comes up and says, hey, that training camp we were going to go to over summer break, not going to happen. Sorry, guys, can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Gorgeous gets an idea. Why don't we save our summer vacation? Because I've been missing my mom's hometown and I've been going through old photos. What if I try to reconnect with my aunt that I haven't seen in about 10 years and see if we can go hang out there? So she writes her aunt, hoping to get a response back. She doesn't get a response right away. What she does get is a visit from a cat.
This cute little
fucking
white cat,
man. That cat, man, is evil.
I have theories about the cat, but we're going to talk about that later.
I have one theory. It's evil, and I'm correct.
You're not wrong at all.
So,
you get a cat, and then...
Finally, a letter comes in, and Gorgeous is like, yay, we saved summer vacation. Aunt will let us come, and they go on this trippy-ass train ride. Can we talk about how trippy this train ride was?
Can you talk about how trippy this whole movie is? When we are.
So, it starts out with Fantasy and Mr. Toga, or Toga Sensei, whatever you want to call him, making a promise that he will be there on their summer vacation. Weird. I think that's really weird, but again, I can't judge, but it's kind of weird. So he promises, but he misses the train because while no, this is the weirdest thing ever. So the movie all of a sudden has a little sing-along dance number thing going on with him coming out of his house, stretching, saying hi to his neighbors, just for him to trip going down the stairs, bump his ass a few times, slide belly first, landing in a bucket. The bucket slides out in the street, and then a car almost hits him, but the bucket gets him out of the way, but now he has a bucket stuck on his ass.
Oh my god, y'all just realized? It was the cat, wasn't it?
Was it the cat?
I want to say it was the cat, because I'm pretty sure it was I could have sworn I thought it was a cat, like a cat or something, like he had was trying to, like, not trip over. And then he tripped over himself.
Could have been. I don't remember.
But like,
it's a good theory. We're gonna keep that headcanon. Cat made him trip.
So basically, yeah. Also, can we talk about the fact that, like, I'm pretty sure he's like bi or trilingual? Because like
there was an Italian lady saying bonjour to him. Then you had
French, whatever,
some
European language.
In Europeans. They had an American painter, and then his Japanese shoemakers, I think they were.
I honestly didn't pay attention to that
Dude, there was so much crammed in that one. What was with the miniature horse outside of the painter's house? In one scene, you had an American painter walking out on his front patio area with a miniature horse next to, like, a Beetle, a Volkswagen Beetle, with Japanese shoemakers tapping on the shoes to the rhythm of the song. Then it goes up to him stretching. There was the fucking cat.
Oh.
I remember when he stretched, the cat strolled by. It was the fucking cat. Anywho, he stretches, and then it goes up to a painted sunset with his European neighbor saying bonjour.
This beautiful matting again.
Beautiful matting. And there's a parrot, too.
There was a lot going on.
There's a lot in one, like, fucking little condensed moment.
It feels like he is the destined, like, good luck charm / like, comic relief of this movie, because every time like Togo appears, it's always something hilarious, and I love it.
I actually love that a culture like Japan did this at a time like the 1970s, where the girls, especially fantasy, see him as this knight in shining armor, this manly man, this guy who's going to come at the end of the movie and save the day. Every time he's on screen, he is incompetent. He is so fucking stupid, wasting time. There's a moment where they're waiting on him to come save the day, and he literally stops to get some ramen.
And every that's why he's another one of my favorites. Because like,
what was with the bear in the ramen shop? Did you see the fucking bear?
At the point in this movie, are you really questioning that?
Yes.
Are you really questioning that?
The bear
at the point at this movie
was wearing
everything else that we've seen up to this point. Are you really going to question the fact that there's a bear eating with everyone else?
He wasn't eating. He was cooking the ramen because he had the same getup as the cook. Same outfit, same headband. He was cooking ramen.
I'm not questioning it because I know better. I know better.
This movie's a trip.
It is an acid trip, but y'all, it's one heck of an acid trip.
Toga is late, can't make the bus, or make the train. So the girls get on the train by themselves, and that's when they have this little moment.
Y'all, by the way, fabulous clothing. They had some really good choices back in the 70s.
The set was amazing too.
So cool.
Every scene in this movie was just eye-poppingly gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
you're right about that with the cat.
She all of a sudden knew the name of the cat.
Well, she technically, I assume she gave that cat the name.
Blanche?
Yeah. She gave that cat the name. That's what I assumed at first, because it's random cat, and all she does is call it a cute kitty, and then the next scene she calls it Blanche. So I'm like, okay, you named the cat.
I guess because, white kitty. I get it.
But at the end of the movie where they're going through the aunt's diary, she also refers to the cat as Blanche.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Anywho, prophecy.
Really cool scene, in my opinion, is when they do the flashback to. So the girls on the train ask about her mom's, Gorgeous's mom's hometown and her aunt and the house that they're going to, and she talks about it, but she doesn't actually speak. Like, she starts to talk about it, and then that goes away, and all you see is a visual flashback with no sound. The only sound you hear is commentary from the girls as if they're watching the flashback. Like, Mac talks about the food looking really, really good. Fantasy talks about how in love the aunt and the husband are. It's so cool. I don't know. It's very experimental. And it worked.
It's almost like a lucid dream.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very lucid dream. And this also talks about, how, the husband was like, oh, I promise I'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
And he never did. And
because he died at war.
Mm-hmm.
He got drafted during the Great War.
And you know how, honestly, these so far this movie has talked about a lot about marriage. Like, about a concept of like, oh, we want to get married, or like, marriages, because like in the beginning, that coach lady was talking about an arranged marriage.
She has an arranged marriage.
And
Gorgeous is being forced a new mother due to marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy has a fantasy marriage with Toga. And then you have the promised marriage that the aunt and the husband were supposed to have. And even in the flashback, when the mom gets married to Gorgeous's dad, you could see the depression on almost both of their faces. The mom does not look happy, and the aunt really doesn't look happy.
So it's just
I feel like there's commentary there.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So they get to this, after this really, really trippy, bus ride, they get to this stop, and
I love this part. So they get to the stop, get off the bus, right? Mm-hmm. And you see the painted background. And at this point, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm used to painted backgrounds. Like, this whole movie has done painted backgrounds. That's cool. But then they do a wide shot where they're actually standing behind a painted background with a painted background behind that.
It was very meta, and
it's so cool and trippy.
It's a very great use of, subverting your expectations of all of that. I really enjoyed that part
It was
because
so good.
it's done multiple times, and it's just like it acts. That's like a sign. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, you're here. Like it's almost like it's a sign, and you just and before you get to like bus, it's like you see it, and it was like, oh yeah, they're in this like very beautiful like greenery land. It's like, oh, they actually are behind a sign, behind luscious green, beautiful greenery.
It's just so trippy. And then you have them making their way to the house with this typical 90s intro where it's like them walking in the background, but the shot is from far away, and then you'll have little bubbles with their faces appearing and then their names written underneath it, where it's like, fantasy, hey, gorgeous, hi. It screamed 90s.
Maybe Obayashi was ahead of his time.
I think he was. What I think happened was American children's programs looked at Hausu and was like, okay, we can do this. Less titties, but we can do this.
And it just kind of went from there. And then, don't get me started on the fact that, once again, Miss Gorgeous and Blanche was all like, oh, Blanche leads the way. And they followed the cat over to the house, over to the house and over to like where like the watermelon stand is.
Yeah, the watermelon stand guy. I loved him. He was weird.
Yeah, and just like so animated. Like the little time that he had on screen were just so great. Like I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of him because he was just like very jolly. He was like very animated. It's like, oh my god. Like literally like bouncing off of
There's girls here. There's girls here. Y'all going to the house? Yeah, we're going to the house. Girls haven't been to the house in years.
Oh, you're the niece? It's like, oh, you're so pretty.
So he gives them directions. Mac steals a melon, which bad Mac. But she steals a melon, and they make their way to the house. But we stick with the watermelon guy as he laughs. But not only does he laugh, a freaking watermelon that's hanging up in the background laughs with him.
No, it's almost like ventriloquism. Because, like, you see his mouth like this. His face almost looks like a freaking melon in itself. And, like, his mouth looks like it's where, like, Sonic the Hedgehog's mouth would be. And then, like, it's almost like a ventriloquist act. Like, with the watermelon. He's just like, and all of that. And I was like, what the hell?
It starts out very cute and innocent. Like you could almost see this as like almost like a slice of life kind of
a slice of life anime, or like a very like a shoujo manga. It kind of gives shoujo manga.
It's very it's precious. It's adorable. Almost like the very beginning is simply adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the house, and like literally the moment they walk into the house, that is the cutting point of where you have the first genre of the film. The first half has its own genre, and then that second half has its own genre.
It all starts from the moment that the aunt enters that like open. Well, the gate is open, and then Auntie appears. Her looking beautiful, mind you.
Dude,
like,
she looked gorgeous.
She looked so fantastic, and with the natural makeup too. Like it's almost. That's how you knew she was a witch, because like she was a little bit too ethereal for me. Like perfectly laid hair, like beautiful makeup, like doesn't look a day over 40 at all. Like the only thing you can tell that's probably like quote unquote old is just like the clothes that she wears and her mannerisms. Other than that,
and she has white hair. That's about it.
Yeah, and she has like white hair. Other than that, like maybe she looks like she is. She This is gonna sound so bad. A wilf.
A wilf? A wilf. Explain yourself.
It's kind of self-explanatory.
A widow? A wife? A woman? Where's the wilf come in?
The witch?
Oh.
She's a wilf.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, where are you going with this, Jason?
Oh, God.
Anywho.
She was like a G-MILF. Or AILF.
It reminds me of that scene of Ricky Bobby. where he like, there's a cougar in the car. Well, yeah, you gotta learn to drive with the fear. I drive with that fear.
Yeah, right. Oh, but no, she looks gorgeous, and
Absolutely
the house
gorgeous.
looks old and phenomenal. It's very traditional, of course, but it was like traditional and then modern at the same time. The
But
production
also-
design,
You could tell
beautiful.
that it was done on a soundstage, but that wasn't to a detriment. Like it looked fantastic while also being very much a soundstage prop. Like it's a setting, but it's also they use that house as a prop. And
Like the
it's
house
so
itself
good.
the house itself is a prop, and I am completely okay with that.
So she explains, how she's been alone and everything, and she's so happy the girls are here. One thing I absolutely love about the aunt is everything she has said to these girls is not false. She says about how she used to give piano lessons, which she did. Says how a bunch of girls used to come to the house, but not that much anymore, which is true. She also talks about, especially when one of them goes missing, Fantasy's like, where's Mac? Oh, don't worry about Mac. You'll see her soon. This aunt never lied, and I love that about her. Evil intentions, not willing to hide it. Love it.
And okay, I'm just gonna kind of bring in also. Did you know that the script was inspired by Chigumi when Chigumi was 12?
I knew she was young. Like I didn't know how young.
12 years old, basically. And also, it's pretty funny. So apparently, none of the 7 young actresses who portrayed the group of friends who visited the house were trained film actresses. The young ladies were models who had worked with director Nobuhiko Obayashi making advertisements or commercials.
And they did that shit.
I should have known. Oh, okay. After we finish the plot, we're gonna talk about this trivia because there's a lot of cool trivia about this film.
So basically, they're like, okay, we'll don't worry, Aunt, about anything. We're gonna take care of you. Sweet's like, I'll clean, because that's one of her character traits is she likes to clean. She does all the cleaning.
Yeah.
So she starts cleaning while Mac and Gorgeous go to cook in the kitchen. Mac and Gorgeous go to cook in the kitchen.
Of course, she has the stolen watermelon.
And basically, the aunt's like, hey, or no, Mac says, hey, can I refrigerate this? For some reason, the aunt's like, no, don't put it in the fridge, but you can go use the well.
Well, the fridge is out of order, so to speak, out of order. So to use a natural refrigerator, a well. Also, someone who doesn't know traditional Japanese culture like that, like I should. I forgot that people used wells as refrigerators.
Can I also say, as a guy who is in the appliance business, I love that refrigerator. That was a nice refrigerator.
That was a nice kitchen. That was a cute little kitchen.
It's a cute little kitchen. That refrigerator, though, man, they don't make that. They don't make those anymore. Not like that. You buy no, I'm not shitting you. You buy a refrigerator nowadays, you got 3 to 5 years before something craps out. That motherfucker, I guarantee you, if they would have kept it around, it'd still be running.
Oh my god.
Good craftsmanship right there. Anywho, they put the melon in the well, they make dinner, they all eat dinner, but the aunt's not there. And I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck is the aunt not there?
She did say that.
What is that
she
aunt
was
doing?
supposedly.
Yeah, Gorgeous says that the aunt's not feeling well. So, they get done eating, and Mac's like, ooh, I'm gonna go get my melon. But we don't follow Mac. Mac just goes off on her own, and we don't see what happens to Mac. She just goes to get the melon while we focus on the girls. Well, time passes. I think Gorgeous is getting her hair done while Proof and Sweet are doing the dishes. And I believe it was Kung Fu that says something about Mac being gone so long, and Fantasy says, oh, I'll go get her. Fantasy goes to the well, doesn't see Mac. Goes to pull on the rope that has the melon tied to it, and is like, oh, she never once got the melon. That's really weird. Where is Mac? And she looks up at the sunset while pulling on the rope.
Very gorgeous sunset.
Very gorgeous sunset. Talks about how gorgeous it is, but also talks about how she's very concerned about Mac. Picks up the melon, looks at the melon. That ain't no fucking melon. No. That is Mac's head. Dead head.
The prosthetics used in this film are just
No,
that's amazing.
I don't think that was a prosthetic. I think that was matted. Reason I think it was matted is because it's like seconds later that eyes move and Max starts like attacking her. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can clearly see at moments of the movie where the lines are for matting, but I don't even care. It is still so well done. And I feel like the lines kind of give it its own, like, old school charm to it.
Yeah.
But to have the creativity to go, hey, I need a floating head, but if I use a prop, it's probably not going to look good. Fucking use matting.
Use the actors themselves.
So the head starts floating around attacking Fantasy, and it bites her in the ass.
Took a chunk out the butt.
Bites her in the ass.
Okay, so over the course of this film, I just feel so bad for Fantasy. Like,
she watches and notices everything, but because she's Fantasy, no one believes her.
And I hate that. Because I'm that bitch. I hate that. Like, I'm that exact same one who will see something and then no one will believe me. And then, like, even like the reverse of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And I felt for Fantasy so much. And I was like, the amount of therapy that this girl was going to need was insurmountable.
So, the rest of the girls check on Fantasy. They notice Max still missing. And I believe Kung Fu went to go look for her or something.
Oh, reliable.
In the meantime, they're like, hey, Mac will show up. Don't worry. It's not that big of a deal. And Fantasy's like, no, you don't understand. I just saw a floating head and it bit my ass. Y'all need to believe me. And they're like, nah, you're being weird.
And then the aunt was all like, no, everything's okay.
Dude, no. So they go their separate ways. Gorgeous goes to take a bath and everything. And Fantasy's still freaking out. What does the aunt do? She shows up in her wheelchair and stands the fuck up.
No, she was all like, "Oh yeah, let's check on her." Gets up and just like, wait a minute.
And the girls are like, "Oh my god, Aunt, I thought you weren't feeling well. I thought you were confined to a wheelchair." And she says, "Don't worry, you girls give me energy." Literally, she does not lie.
This woman is such a perfect villain.
Oh, it's so good. So,
that was my
and another thing that happens is Fantasy watches the aunt go into the refrigerator. She just fucking disappears.
The rest of the girls, they go separate ways, trying to, go on about their own. Fantasy turns around, sees Auntie go into the refrigerator, breaks the plate, and I think it was Melody who's all like, "No, you broke it." But it's like, bitch, did you not just see this lady go into the refrigerator?
She did, and she was in the other room.
And then literally
they open the fridge, and then she's like, "Look, it's just a refrigerator."
And then in the corner of the frame, you see Auntie just like, "Look, okay, no, Auntie, no, I love her because every time she looked at the screen." Every time she got a close-up, you could just tell that she was up to some shit.
She would look at the screen and have the most crooked smile ever. She did. Like, as they're looking in the fridge, she's crawling on the little rafters, looks at the camera, and is like, ha-ha.
And then starts dancing, and this whole little montage of like, her dancing, and then, like, I think what the motif of the movie, along with this, like, the Blanche, and then Blanche starts like this little meow, and it goes into like this like meow melody and stuff, and I'm just like,
it's going with the music,
and I'm just like, this has officially become an acid trip.
What is this movie?
I wish I was on acid, because I feel like I would have truly appreciated this movie for what it was if I was on LSD. No, but Obayashi had to be on some drugs.
No,
some drugs.
Unless he's like with the Yakuza, drugs are like a big no-no in Japan.
Honestly, in Asia, but I feel like he's probably with the Yakuza. Like, ain't no way a sober man can make a movie like this.
Dude,
I mean, granted, look at anything that Junji Ito does.
That man loves him some kitty cats.
Mm-hmm.
That is a kitty cat loving man that does no drugs. I don't even think he drinks, and he comes up with that shit.
Mm.
I'm just saying, like,
that was my actually one of my favorite scenes, second favorite scene, next to one of my favorite deaths that's gonna be appearing later.
And so we got Gorgeous taking a bath. Kung Fu goes to chop up firewood, and
okay,
Sweet is cleaning the house. All this is happening.
God.
So Gorgeous gets done with her bath. She goes upstairs, finds her own little room, and we leave her there.
Is it around the time where like it was her? That was like the first. That was the first boobs, right?
Yeah, that's when we first see her boobs. Is when she's in the bath.
Okay.
But again, it's not sexual. It's just she's in the bath.
Yeah,
like it's in the bath, and you don't see anything whatsoever. And like someone talks to her, and she turns. But as she turns, you see boobs. But it's like for a brief second.
but
It's
never
never been no nudity that you see in this movie is explicit or like sexualized.
Yeah.
It's just it's tits. Get over yourself kind of feeling. So she finds her own little room. We'll get back to that. Put a little pin note in her being in that room. Sweet also finds a room where this doll is kind of saying her name. Sweet doll.
Because she's trying to find bedding. Yeah, she was trying to find the bedding, and then like
She found that bedding.
She was cleaning, and then I think she heard the sound, and then went into the room, and
the door's shut, locking her in.
Oh, and there's also like a quote that was been rummaging around this whole time. Any old cat can open a door, but a witch cat closes the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Witch cat.
And then you see
You have Kung Fu going to chopping firewood, and then all of a sudden the firewood starts attacking her. She beats the shit out of the firewood. The firewood literally knocks her pants off her, but she doesn't care. She beats the shit out of that firewood, wins the fight, and is like, huh, that was a crazy illusion. Grabs her pants and then walks away.
And I'm like,
bitch, please, you just fought firewood and you think that's an illusion?
Where's your friend Fantasy at when you need her? Because, like, that could have backed up all her theories.
She needed proof.
That was the proof right there.
If proof would have been there, she would have been like, yeah, no, I saw that. That's 100%. It's not scientifical, but yeah, no, that 100% happened. Oh my god. So, let's get back to Gorgeous being in the room. Because this was probably the coolest representation, visualization of a possession I have ever seen. Seen. This was so cool. Where she's sitting there and she's got these mirrors in front of her, and it's the room, and it's got the aunt's wedding dress that she would have wore during her wedding.
Oh, it was a beautiful dress, man, y'all. Very beautiful.
She starts putting on the makeup that she finds there, doing her hair, and when she looks in the mirror, her image fades to the aunt's image.
And then, meanwhile, when you do other cuts, you see her, and then you see the middle image, not only cutting to the aunt, but have her straight like she's looking around, just looking straight at her.
Mm-hmm. Like Gorgeous was looking around the room, like what's going on here, while that middle image is just staring at her, and the image in the mirror shatters. A tear of blood comes down. And then it shows Gorgeous as her face starts cracking and she's literally lit on fire. What?
And I was like, oh, Gorgeous is dead.
Gorgeous is dead, y'all.
Like, this girl was caught on fire. She was like dead. Like her face was literally cracked open.
And that's all you see of her for a good minute. That's the end of Gorgeous. We're now focused on the other girls. Gorgeous is done. No more Gorgeous, y'all.
No more main girl.
Melody goes into the piano room and there's now this the cat again. I'm pretty sure the fucking cat again. No, it was the aunt. The aunt before she went away, before she walked away, because she was doing the little dances in the rafters, walked down and put this sheet of music on the piano. So Melody walks in, reads the sheet of music, and is like, oh, I can play that. And I swear to fucking God, that was the intro to Black Parade.
It was the intro.
It literally went, ba, 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 ba.
Oh, it
ba,
did.
Ba, ba, ba. My inner emo kid made me want to just belt the song out.
Basically, like the music. I am a big fan of the music and how the music was used in this film. I was a very big fan.
Everything from haunting melodic piano playing to just happy-go-lucky 70s. Everything was used in this movie.
Everything. Like, it was very much a hodgepodge, and I'm here for it.
But she starts playing the piano, and you have Kung Fu, Proof, and Fantasy, and they're basically getting ready to go just hardcore find Mac. They're really worried about Mac. Then they heard Melody scream.
And then going back and forth between hearing Melody scream and then hearing Sweet scream.
Well, no, they run to Melody and Fantasy hears Sweet screaming. And so Fantasy runs to go help Sweet out. The girls, Kung Fu and Proof, meet up with Melody, and she just has a little scratch on her finger.
Oh, she got a little boo-boo.
Just a little boo-boo.
But
she swears that piano bit her.
So we go into seeing, a Sweet and Fantasy, and Fantasy just sees Sweet just being barraged on all of these like mattresses and pillows, and
she found the bedding.
She found the bedding, and I think this part low key, it didn't make me upset, but I was kind of like, really now, because like glorious painting shots everywhere, and like, well, I like the way that everything was done with like her just like bashing on the floor, like everything is like beat, like those sheets were beating her ass, y'all.
No, and it was really, really coolly shot because basically the floor, they did shots underneath and the floor was glass, but it still had like the patterning of the flooring. So when they did up top shots, you would see just the wood floor, but then they would have shots from underneath, from underneath where it's glass, and you see her just falling to the ground, getting berated
trying to get back up and falling down. I was like, Miss Girl's getting beat the F up.
And of course, Fantasy sees all this, freaking out. And Melody, Proof, and Kung Fu show up. Finally get the door unlocked because Kung Fu's a Kung Fu master.
With her own theme music, by the way.
With her own fucking... Every time she fights, she has a theme music.
Badass.
They finally get in, and they find nothing. Except for mattresses, Sweet's dress, her bra, her panties, and a naked doll.
That same doll that was calling out to her earlier.
Was it the same doll?
It looks like it was the same doll that was calling out to her.
Because I'm assuming Sweet got turned into a doll. Because the clothing is still there, but she's not. The only thing that's there is now a naked doll.
Well, a scene later on kind of proves that wrong.
Well, it doesn't prove it wrong. She's part of the house now. Like, all the victims become part of the house. Even Mac, who is presumed to be eaten by the ant, is still part of the house. Because remember when she picks up the phone, you hear all the victims screaming and yelling for help.
True. Okay,
so,
got me there.
I think she turned into that doll. Or at least that's like artistic,
The artistic choice. That's choices were made.
Choices were made in this film and no one said no.
No one.
So they freak out for a little bit, and I think that's when they finally... Yeah, so like 2 people are gone missing, and is this the point where they finally go upstairs and get Gorgeous?
No, they try to look for Gorgeous. They try to look for her because they were like, oh crap, she's taking a shower and all that. They're like, she's probably putting on makeup as usual. So basically, so like, probably put on makeup. So like
they go into the room that she was at, and she's now wearing the aunt's wedding dress, with all the makeup on. The traditional geisha, white face, red lipstick geisha makeup. But she has such a just blank face and very monotone way of speaking. And what I also love is there are moments where, like, okay, information the aunt wouldn't know, like Mr. Toga is supposedly being there, is now is now shocking to Gorgeous. And you even have moments where, like, it sounds like the aunt's voice is overlapping over Gorgeous. So, possession. The aunt is now Gorgeous. Confirmed.
And honestly, this kind of is only backed by the fact that you don't really see Auntie's body.
She's gone.
Yeah, like ever.
She never returns back into the film whatsoever. So that's what I'm saying. Like that mirror scene where like all the cracks on her face happen and she lights on fire. This is the coolest possession I have ever seen in a movie.
That was
artistically at least.
That was amazing. So yeah, one thing I did like about this scene is the fact that this is the moment where Proof was all like, "Oh, I can't explain it, but this is real." So like she goes back and forth. Mirror, you see her.
No.
No, yeah.
Not yet.
Wait, no.
Not yet. Because Fantasy, they go back down, and Gorgeous is the one who calls the police, or says she's calling the police. You hear all the distorted voices saying, help me, and she hangs up the phone and says, I'll go get the police, and she walks away. And that's when all the girls lock her in the house. And Proof is like, okay, I guess that makes sense because the aunt lives by herself. She would have automatic locking system. That makes sense. You're right. And so they're still accepting of it. They're still like, weird things are happening. We need the police because our friends are missing. But Proof still hasn't like accepted weird things yet.
Look at me trying to go all across the film. I'm sorry.
Because she says even to Kung Fu as they're going back and forth, you know, all the weird things that's happening.
While Melody's playing.
While Fantasy is standing right there. Proof is like, I think I know what's going on, but I don't want to say it out loud because I'll freak Fantasy out. And Fantasy is like, wait, what? No, you have to tell me now.
Like, I still feel bad for poor Fantasy.
She saw everything.
She was right all along. Along.
She's kind of the final girl, too. She's right. This movie's final girl.
You're right. We're going to talk about that, though.
So, oh my lord, this movie.
There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot.
I forget exactly what happens or where they go to, but Kung Fu and Proof go somewhere. They walk away and leave Fantasy and Melody by themselves.
No, I think they're trying to. I think they're either trying to find somebody, or they're trying to get Auntie. No, they're trying to get Auntie.
Yeah, that's right. They were trying
to ask her what's going on or whatever.
Yeah, and that's when they find Mac's hand in a jar holding her ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, however, Melody is playing the piano and cannot stop playing the piano.
This is my favorite scene ever in this movie.
While there's a goofy little skeleton dancing in the background. Yeah, woo, skeleton. Have you guys ever played Mario Nintendo 64?
Oh,
remember Boo's Castle?
Yes.
That hidden red coin, and the piano comes to life and tries to eat you?
Yes, it reminds me of that.
The piano ate Melody, y'all.
And Fantasy is just like,
she's just freaking the fuck out.
And this girl is freaking out because she's trying to get Melody's attention. Melody is like, IDK.
She can't stop playing.
But you know what, though? I really feel like Melody got possessed too. Because
she did.
Because after she got bit the first time, like, she honestly kind of acted different. Like, she was kind of like more coy, kind of like more, like, she was kind of about to fuck shit. Like, she looked like she was different. Like, she felt different after, like, that first time. Because she was just, like, she was just sitting there, just kind of like, yeah.
No,
and
I love the playing the piano. And then she's just like, it ate my fingers. Oh, no.
Let me keep playing. And she's like, go back down.
And then it bit her hand off. And that's when she's like, ah!
And then the visual sensation that is this film. That scene, I feel like, is the definitive scene for how you see this movie, with just the keys, like the separate keys playing, with all of like her body like parts going in, all of the colors just going around, and like her slowly going into the piano while like she's like trying to grasp, you know, to no avail, the piano strings, while like borders of like, you know, sensationalized borders, like it felt like it was like a comic book meets 1960 something Batman meets all of that at the same time. And I was like, this is like the experimental, the chaotic. It is that was the most one of the most chaotic scenes in the film, and I was here for it.
Oh, it was
and
so
then,
good.
And then all you see was like, you know, bits and pieces of, you know, all of you know, her body, Melody's body just being strewn around. Like, you know, you see like her head.
Fantasy gets smacked in the face with her arm or something.
Yeah, you see like her arm gets smacked in the face by Fantasy. You see you know, with beautiful matting once again, random body parts, like, you know, you see her torso, you see her like her chest, you see like her you see her head, and she turns over to see her legs in the piano. Is like, oh my god, that's naughty. And I'm like, ma'am, that honestly, that she was already one of my favorite characters before, but that was the moment where she was like, where she became number one for me. Was that moment there? It's like, oh my god, that's naughty. I'm like, ma'am, you're getting literally eaten up by a piano, and this is what you think.
So
okay, sis. Okay.
So Kung Fu and Proof can't find the aunt. They find Gorgeous or Fantasy passed out on the floor with Melody's arm just laying on her, and they're like, "Oh God!" So they get her out.
and the goldfish too. I don't think that.
I mean, it's just gold.
It,
yeah.
So I thought they did, but
they get her out of the room, and I think at this point, Gorgeous shows back up, and she just walks back up into the room that she was at, and Proof and Kung Fu are like, "Okay, we're getting to the bottom of this." They go up.
Oh yeah.
Kung Fu finds this room, while Proof finds a notebook or a diary from the aunt.
Mm-hmm.
But she also notices that Kung Fu and Gorgeous are going through the room, going to that little room area.
But you look in the mirror.
When she looks in the mirror, yeah,
all you see is Kung Fu. Go back around.
There's both of them.
Nothing. Both. Nothing. And then nothing.
And at this point, Proof is like, okay, no, science be damned, this house is haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have Kung Fu looking at this clock. Now, this whole movie, at certain points in the movie, you would hear this clock ring, like at noon. Like how old grandfather clocks would ring at noon, where it's just loud and daunting. It would happen at several points, but they can never find a clock. They finally found the clock. Inside this clock, a bunch of gears, red liquid dripping down the gears, and at first, she sees the image of...
Sweet.
No.
I thought that was Sweet.
At the very end.
Oh.
At first, it was the husband. The husband turned into Gorgeous. Gorgeous turned into Sweet.
I didn't notice that part.
Because it's clearly a dude at first. And then the only reason I think it was Gorgeous is because it was a female, but it wasn't the same female that was the very last female on the clock. So that shows you that the house is literally consuming their victims. And Kung Fu is now tearing up. Proof comes in, sees it, and is like, okay, no, sadness be damned. Science be damned and sadness be damned. We need to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And all hell breaks loose. The house literally starts attacking these girls. Kung Fu has a battle with witch-possessed Gorgeous. They literally have a Kung Fu battle outside. Kung Fu battle outside.
Literally a Kung Fu battle outside. And then, like, she ends up, like, I don't know if she won or not, but she ends up...
No, she went to drop kick her ass and missed or something, and ends up back in the house.
Yeah, ends up back in that same room. And at the same time, Kung Fu is is reading out the
Proof. Proof is reading.
Is reading out the readings that's in the notebook. And the notebook, it talks about how she was very lonely. About, how she was waiting on her husband. She's gonna wait.
Who promised to get there. All this time, Kung Fu's fighting all the furniture and stuff that's flying towards him. She also reads in the diary that because of this, she died. The aunt died, but her soul never left. And now she devours all unmarried women that show up.
And another thing that pops up is Gorgeous. But Gorgeous in Auntie's world, mind you. And that's where you get the explanation of that. She that part was
I love
wild.
that so much because Fantasy is like, we need to go get Gorgeous, and Gorgeous's head, just giant head, pops into the
hi girls, I am in Auntie's world now.
And then that disappears, and then it's giant lips.
And it just giant lips, the giant eyes is trying to explain everything that's going on. And you just it explains honestly the whole backstory, and at that point you're just and then
the Kung Fu tries to call the police after this, and then she has to fight the phone.
She fight the phone itself.
The phone started strangling her.
She fought the phone itself, and oh my god.
And then that leads to Proof finally getting to a point in the diary where she's like, the cat. The
Blanche.
Cat is the connection to everything.
And then this is where you see the image of the cat go from, normal to
this demonic demon looking thing.
I forgot. It looks like a very specific yokai.
Oh.
It's a very specific yokai. I know it is, and I cannot remember the name of it.
But what I loved was Kung Fu running to do a super kick on the image of the cat. Because Proof is like, if we get rid of the cat, we'll defeat the house. She runs to do a super kick, but in the process of doing so, gets hit in the face by a lamp and starts getting electrocuted.
I hated that scene so much.
I love that scene.
It went from she kicked it, she gets electrocuted, and then
she never kicked it at first. She goes to kick it, gets hit by the lampshade or whatever, and starts getting electrocuted. All while Fantasy and Proof are like, "Don't die, Kung Fu! You got this! Beat it!" She's gonna beat fucking electricity.
And no, because basically she's beaten everything else to this point. So who knows? She might as well would have beat electricity.
But what throws me into a whole little loop here is Kung Fu is such a badass that not only does she gets hit with electricity and she
gets
basically
sucked up, I think.
Yeah, well, it exploded, exploded,
yeah,
sucked up, whatever.
Got sucked up, and then
every part of her body is gone except for her leg. And Kung Fu's like, you know what? I still got a leg. I can kick that photo, and kicks the fucking image of the cat. How?
And then nothing but blood.
Blood everywhere.
Blood everywhere. And then
the cat freaks out.
Also, right after this, the legs go into a drawer, and the drawer opens, and then blood starts pouring out.
But there's blood everywhere. The cat starts screaming. Gorgeous is screaming at this point with blood gushing out all over that place. The fucking floorboards are dissipating with liquid underneath it, and Proof is like, it's the blood of the house. And she tries to read the last part of the book, but one of the furniture that's flying all over the place still hits her in the head, and the glasses fall in the blood. And so she tries to grab it.
And she goes, "Jinkies, I can't find my glasses.
I can't see without my
glasses." Falls.
Help me! I've fallen and I can't get up.
It went from Velma to Life Alert to she's in the water, and then I think all of a sudden she's did she
she dissipates.
Yeah, it's almost like she gets stripped naked, but it's she's the dissipates. English, and
she gets stripped naked, and then she turns into this glowing orb kind of thing, which turns slowly shrinks, and she's gone.
And she is vapor. She got like vapor. I was like, as if the blood was like acid, and just like the amount of like, I think that was the most beautiful use of the naked body though. Like I really liked that part because it was
because
it was
everything was red, but you also had strobe lights happening in the background.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of like she was struggling, but it was also like a dance routine underwater at the same time. It was very pretty. Like
it was
aesthetically, it was very pretty. But she's gone, leaving the only person left being Fantasy, who
poor girl.
At this point is just on. She's on the flooring, which is being dragged away to what almost looks like the gates of hell, because like at the end of the house you see nothing but orange, and she starts going that way, but she slowly she sees Gorgeous and starts making her way towards Gorgeous because they're still best friends.
And you know what though, it really did feel like it was giving like final girl like imagery. Like she was about to go down and all of a sudden it's gonna be like a surprise. Like it was about to be like, oh, I survived, and then you see Gorgeous and it's like, oh wait, and then from there not only you see Gorgeous, you also hear the aunt. And then it goes back and forth between the images of Gorgeous and the images of aunt in the same outfit.
And Fantasy makes her way to the stairs. Gorgeous, at first it's Gorgeous, and she like holds her lovingly and tenderly, and like it goes down to Fantasy's face and then back up, and Gorgeous is now the aunt, which was just that was cool. Love that.
Phenomenal.
And then we get to the end of the movie, but before we get to that, back to Toga Sensei. This was hands down my favorite part of the movie because it was so stupid. Okay, so this guy's been goofing off this entire time. He got stuck in a bucket, missed the train, got stuck in traffic. While being late and stuck in traffic, he's like, no, it's a good thing to do. I'm gonna go have some ramen cooked by a bear. Does that, gets lost several times making his way to the house, finally makes his way to the melon stand, and Melon Dude's like, hey, what's going on? You must be the teacher. And the teacher's like, yeah, where's the house? Oh, the house is over there. Hey, you want some melon? No, I don't like melons. Why don't you like melons? I prefer bananas. Oh! And the melon salesman turns into a skeleton while dancing and then turning into ash, leaving Homeboy just going, bananas. This is bananas. Totally bananas. And just...
But
he's in the car. He just passes out in the car.
Also, though, he gets the information that the girl's being eaten.
I guess, yeah, he does.
Too,
the
like
salesman does say.
On top of that, I was like, yeah, no, I would have gone crazy too.
So now we get to the actual end of the movie, and I had to tell the Toga Sensei thing because this is what happens. The end of the movie has the soon-to-be mom, Gorgeous's soon-to-be mom. That was really hard to say.
Beautiful, beautiful lady still. Like, literally, her characteristic is wind flow. Like, perfect hair, always have wind flowing around her, no matter what. And, like, she's driving down this beautiful...
She even has that Marilyn Monroe beauty mark thing going on. Yeah.
Like, that's why I thought she was an American. When I first watched it, I was like, white woman. And they're just like, oh no, she's Japanese. White woman. But this gorgeous lady, gorgeous, is just, just driving along down the street like nothing's happening. Very gorgeous. She gets out the car. She sees how everything goes, and then everything around her is just beautiful. Like it's like the morning time. You see even the more also beautiful 70s matting with, you see like the house in the background, you see all of these warm beautiful tones, and you see her just like flowing in the wind like and then she, as it happens, as you go up to the house,
hang on, because I told the toga thing for a very specific reason.
Oh yeah,
before she gets to the house, she makes her way to the watermelon stand, finds nothing but a dune buggy, Mr. Toga's dune buggy, and a pile of bananas with Mr. Toga's head on top.
My God.
What? That's my favorite part of the movie, because the dude's just like, this is bananas. This is so bananas. Turns into a pile of bananas.
Yes. I mean,
This shit is
It's
bananas.
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Good time around that track. All right.
Obviously, Toga Sensei is not no hollaback girl.
He turned into a pile of bananas.
He's turned into a pile of bananas. But anyway, gorgeous lady. Gorgeous. Like, I'm gonna keep on calling her gorgeous because she, like, that's literally her claim to fame is that all of the beauty that's there.
Oh my god.
So, with that,
She makes it to the... I'm sorry, I'm still on pile of bananas.
oh my god.
Oh
my
she makes it
God.
to the house, and no one's there to greet her. The door won't open. She makes her way to the side of the house, and no one's there. Finally, door opens up, and you see Gorgeous there, still in the wedding suit, but the house is back to normal. And the mom, the soon-to-be mom, is like, "Hey, where's your aunt? Oh, she's asleep. Okay, where are your friends? They're still asleep. But, don't worry. They'll be up when they're hungry." Again, the aunt doesn't lie.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
So basically,
But you say it was gorgeous? You did mention that it was, like, gorgeous that was opening the door, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
I mean, it's the aunt, but it's in Gorgeous's body.
Yeah.
The aunt doesn't lie.
You're right. The aunt does not lie
The
at all.
movie basically ends right there with the mom, the soon-to-be mom, thinking she's having a touching moment with her soon-to-be daughter, and no, that the witch is going to eat that bitch. Because guess what? You ain't married yet.
You're not married yet, so into the you go. And you see all she's lit is on fire. She's lit, and
then we have like this really cool credit scene. I mean, that's it. It's just you have like the opening, you have the credits where it introduces all the girls, and then you have this really cool like painted, drawn picture of the house with teeth and a tongue coming out, and the credits just roll across the tongue. That's your movie. That's the end of the movie. Oh, it's so good. God, I love this movie.
Scrolling up to the tongue of the house. The main characters also saw up on the sides of the screen, also playing with the whole aspect ratio thing of it too. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it just ends. Alright. I want to talk about the trivia right quick, because before we get into how many deaths was that?
Well, at least 6.
At least 7?
No,
8?
7, because 1 was a possession, so you got 6 right off the bat with the main characters, because all of them died.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Toga would be 8, and then Watermelon Salesman would be 9. So our kill count's up to 9.
Wow. Okay, so on the trivia, it keeps on going back and forth between the fact that like Chigumi was between 10 and 12 years old when the story basically like got conceived of this movie. Granted, so basically I'm sorry, this is so funny. Many of the ways the girls were attacked in the various ways by the house were ideas of the director Obayashi's daughter. For instances, the mattresses that hid from the wall, the piano, and the mirror. So initially, this film was co-written by the 10-year-old Japanese girl. Remember that, y'all. This film was written. She got a credit for this film as a writer at the tender age of 10 years old.
And she deserves every bit of it. Honestly, that's probably why this movie is as good as it is.
As wild as it is, because like this is the mind of a 10 to 12-year-old of a freaking kid.
Oh my god!
And a father who's all like, okay, let's do this, because this is his actually like feature debut.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
and he is a acclaimed Japanese filmmaker. Like he is known. Oh my god!
And it's the fact that apparently like. I didn't know about this film at all, but apparently, like, around, like, maybe, like, 11 or 12 years ago, like, around 2009, apparently, like, a lot of people were trying to be, like, brought this out to America because of, like, this cult-like popularity that I feel like is on the same trend as, like, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, I feel like there's a small fandom, but it's like people who know about this film, and it feels like they're obsessed.
I knew about this film for like a year or so now, a little over. No, I would say probably about 2 years. I've known about this film for about 2 years, but I've only recently seen it because of HBO Max.
Oh, I think you might like this. A little bit of trivia. Shortly after this film's release, Obayashi proposed the story for what would have been the 16th Godzilla film. Had that film been made, it would have used the same crew as this film, with Go Diego once again writing the music. This story told of a little girl named Momo who discovers the dead body of Godzilla. After being dissected, Godzilla is revealed to be a pregnant female alien named Rozan who died of diabetes. The brain of the dead Rozan instructs the humans that she must return with her unborn son to the planet of Godzilla, and so her body is converted into a spaceship. The newborn child will be reunited with his father, and that they will have fought a female monster that shot fire from her breast. Ultimately, this project was discarded by Toho and instead released as a short story in the Japanese edition of Starlog magazine, the artwork being done by future Akira director Katsuhiro Otomo. The story lists the credits as if it was a feature film with Obayashi as director.
Yeah, there's probably a good reason that film didn't get made.
My God.
All right, so
This
let's
is a lot.
Yeah, let's move on to final thoughts. So what? This was your first time watching it. What were your final thoughts?
It feels like acid trip, 10-year-old girl. I don't see. I probably wouldn't have expected this from someone No, I probably would have expected it as someone's debut, but like not as someone's first film.
No,
I feel like this is a film that someone who's further along in their career would have made. Like,
right?
This is something that if this was like maybe like 20 years ago, like in 1990 or something, 2000.
Well,
this is something that Coppola probably would have made just because.
It feels like a director that has already proven himself, and the studio's like, okay, we don't need to restrict this guy. Because there obviously were barely any restrictions on this film.
I mean, like, the fact that the story is basically co-written by his daughter, who was like a kid at the time, that should prove a lot. Like, and the fact that this is his feature debut after doing not even barely short films, but freaking commercials. He's done Japanese commercials, which, Japanese commercials are a whole art form in itself. But going from that to this, from commercials to this,
yeah,
that doesn't happen usually at all. So this is a whole new set of stuff. And as an art house film, I'm gonna call it right now. Like, a lot of American films can never. Like, I feel like they could. Either they can never, or they wouldn't be able to just, do it. Also, I wanted to have one more thing. According to the director, this is the first Japanese film to use video effects, in which he applied in a scene to make one of the girls dissolve underwater through low fidelity video and a simple chroma key effect. So
he did that shit. The innovation out the ass.
Period.
What would you rate it?
Oh my God, I don't even know what to rate it. I don't think I can actually rate it.
I'm rating it.
Just is.
This is a 5.
This movie just is. And
no, this movie is a 5. It is great. It is experimental beyond belief, way ahead of its time for being in the 70s. Entertaining as hell. So goddamn entertaining. I mean, the beginning to end, you're like, what the fuck is this? Yet you can't get your eyes off of it. So much fun, just grand old time. Literally, since I heard about it, because I knew about it going into it, but I was still shocked after watching it. So I can't even believe what you went through not knowing anything about it. This movie was so good. It's a 5.
My brain broke. Like, especially, and I feel like for our viewers and listeners out there, this is gonna be probably the definitive way to cap off Haunted House Month is with something that is just so far left that you don't know what to expect next after this. Like, And when it comes to haunted house films, this is not only a classic, but how can you top this? Like, how can you top something like this in the haunted house genre?
Mm-hmm. That's why I made it last. Because I knew it had to be last. There's nothing like this.
And how could something like this, like, still be like so far ahead, so innovative, and even in the 70s, how could it still stand the test of time now in 2022?
That's so good. Speaking of capping off Haunted House Month, I want to try and do a thing where we've seen 4 films this month. Out of these 4, how would you rank these 4 films?
Ooh, throwing me for a curveball. Okay, so we watched this Skeleton Key, Woman in Black, 13 Ghosts, and Hausu. So I really think I can't place Hausu anywhere. Hausu is on its own. It's S tier if you want to go like that. It's S tier. It goes on its own thing. But for rating for all the other ones, out of how much I enjoyed it, or how much it left me thinking, I'm maybe doing Skeleton Key, then Woman in Black, then 13 Ghosts.
13 Ghosts that high? Wow.
No, that low.
Oh, okay.
My top one is I went from like 1 to 3.
Okay.
Skeleton Key, I really enjoyed the most because hometown glory shit, and Woman in Black I enjoyed it because it made me cry. It made me think about a lot of my own life, and 13 Ghosts was just all over the place, and Matthew Lillard. So, but Hausu is just it goes to show what filmmakers can do if they had all the money in the world and
a studio backing their ideas.
Like literally just like a studio funneling money into a passion project beyond like no other. Like this is something like I said, like Coppola, or hell, maybe even James Wan, if he was more of it, if it wasn't so mainstream.
I would say more Sam Raimi. Like
Raimi, yeah.
This totally screams like Sam Raimi.
I can also see. Yeah, you're right. Because like I think James Wan, because Malignant exists, and I feel like Malignant, when it comes to how batshit it is.
But I feel like that's James Wan at his batshit. Sam Raimi, have you seen Drag Me to Hell?
Oh god,
that dude can go batshit.
Yeah. So
my rating's gonna be basically the same as yours. 13 Ghosts, then Woman in Black, then Skeleton Key, and then Hausu. Hausu is just it's not even close. Woman in Black and Skeleton Key, honestly, the twist in Skeleton Key makes it just jump that far ahead. And then Woman in Black's pretty good, and I just didn't like 13 Ghosts. I still don't like that movie.
So thank you guys for being along for the ride for Haunted House Month, our first themed month of the podcast.
Thank y'all so much.
And we've been trying to have this be put out for so long, and I'm finally glad that we finished.
Yeah, we finished the month.
We actually finished it. And
please support us as much as you can, not only by just listening, but if you could give us likes, if you could give us ratings, reviews, comment on all the videos, comment on our posts, check us out on social medias. All this basically, we're all over the place.
All over the place on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, of course YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all of that stuff, Podchaser, anything that's related to podcasts or social media, we're most likely on it, except for TikTok.
And just let us know y'all are there. Let us know what you think. Give us comments. Tell us what we could do better. And yeah, we would love to hear your feedback. And yeah, that's capping off Haunted House Month.
Woo!
We're finally done. We're moving on to our second month. Now, our second month, I'm excited for because the movies that got picked, I pretty much love all of them. There's one I haven't seen and one I'm a little divisive on, but I still really like it. And next month is going to be
Black Director Month! Because, yes, black people love horror too. And Black directors deserve to be able to make horror movies the way that most other directors make it. Like, like, I'm glad that, Jordan Peele exists, but we deserve to have more people like Jordan Peele who are able to make horror movies that, Black people will love and that are made with Black people in mind. And these movies, I feel like, show off what we have to offer as Black directors in horror, Black filmmakers in horror, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm just really sad there's like such a huge gap in between, because you have Blaxploitation with like Blackula, Blackenstein, and all that, and then just nothing. Really nothing. I mean, sporadic here and there, but until Jordan Peele opened the floodgate, there was really not a whole lot. And I'm just glad there's this new renaissance of American Black voices in horror.
And I really hope that this next month could bring more awareness and to bring along more conversations and awesome movies on top of that. So
be sure to check us out. First Wednesday of February, we are going to be doing the first film in our Black Directors Month, which is going to be, speaking of Jordan Peele, Get Out. So I'm really excited. I love this movie so much. But until then, I've been Heath.
And I've been Jay.
And this has been
Host of Horrors.